everybody. Welcome back to Small Couch Reviews. It's your boy Sam.
It's your boy Joey.
And we are here to record an in-the-car review, which means it's going to be a quick review, because we just saw Kraven the Hunter, the latest in the Sony Spider-Man anti-hero universe. This one stars Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven the Hunter, and he is basically hunting bad guys. That is the movie.
That's the whole movie.
He's hunting bad guys, and yeah, that's it. He's on a mission. Jovi, you go ahead and start.
Oh gosh.
And while you're doing that, I'm gonna look up the people who made this movie.
So, if you don't know what Kraven the Hunter is, who he is, where he's from, Kraven is from the Spider-Man universe. This is another attempt to kind of redeem the villains from the Spider-Man universe. They tried to make it seem like he's not a bad guy. So if you were wondering if this was like you were going to get a Spider-Man Kraven, you're not getting Spider-Man Kraven because he's not mad yet.
Yeah, I feel like they tried to set that up in the end, like towards the end.
Yeah.
Try to set him up to be like more of a Spider-Man, but not really. It seems like they're trying to go in the direction of this is a guy who could potentially fight Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
So without going too deep into it, they mentioned New York a lot. They mentioned doctors and things and stuff that we know from the comics. But it just didn't make sense as a standalone, and none of these ever make sense as a standalone. And that's when we always start with our sour. It's another movie that doesn't make sense as a standalone. I don't care. I think Kraven the Hunter is awesome. I even have cosplayed as Kraven the Hunter, but he doesn't make sense without Spider-Man.
I mean, they showed him hunting what he hunts when he's not hunting Spider-Man, I guess.
Yes. So he hunts people.
Yes, bad people.
He hunts bad people, y'all.
That's what he does.
And yeah. So my biggest sour is the writing. The writing made, arguably, we've talked about this, a pretty damn good actor just seemed silly.
Silly is a great word.
It just seemed silly. Like I couldn't take it serious. Like we haven't been in a film in a while where everybody in the audience is laughing at the horrible, corny one-liners.
Yeah.
And then next to some pretty awesome actors, I would say that the villains did pretty good. And then, our main, I wouldn't even consider it's not a love interest yet, but if you know the story.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, she's not great.
She didn't have a lot to do. Yeah. She's in she was in West Side Story.
Yeah. I'm not saying
Ariana,
yes.
Yeah.
Once again, great actors made to look silly by horrible writing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So that's my biggest sour. And then same thing with Let There Be Carnage. Very 90-esque random scenes. I wanted to say random other scenes but I'm working on not cursing. Just random scenes. Like you just get something and it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, and this is the Scrooble Globble, and then it just goes, and then the next scene it's over, and you're like,
yeah,
why did we need to see that?
We didn't.
That didn't add anything to the story.
I agree. There was a chase scene that lasted a little too long for my liking. There were this, like, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Don't use CGI. We gonna know it's CGI.
And there was some
that's
very easy green screen.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and move on from that. You saw it in the preview. I will say, I haven't got to my suite yet, but Rhino does look way better post than he did in that original preview.
Yep.
The original preview, we were like, what the hell is that?
Yep.
That doesn't make sense. They tried to make Rhino make sense. And then there's just things that happen. Of course, you have to separate yourself. You got to go to the movie to have a good time. There's a lot of things in the movie that just don't make sense.
Logically, they don't make sense.
There we go. Sorry, logically.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, I know you're gonna go in, and so those are my sours. My sweets, there's some really cool kills in this.
Yeah, they used the rated R rating correctly. That's it.
Yeah. That's like, if you're gonna give this movie like a 1+.
There were some cool kills.
Cool kills.
Yeah.
Like, again, I haven't heard a theater go "oh" in a long time.
Yeah.
Because there's one part at one of the last battles, and you're just like, oh, I know what he's gonna do with that.
Yeah.
And they showed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, regardless, like I said, I don't, Kraven being Kraven, I enjoyed this idea.
Yeah.
Of Kraven.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like I don't know how to word that. Maybe when you do you can kind of word it better, but I enjoyed Kraven being Kraven.
Yes, there were good concepts in this movie that was ultimately so, like, the biggest thing the biggest problem with this movie is that the Spider-Man 2 video game came out and we saw that Kraven.
Yes.
Because that Kraven was just you're not going to beat that.
That Kraven.
But, yes.
I want them to use that storyline after this.
Yes. Outside of that, the biggest problem with this movie, it wasn't really the main actors or the stunts like Jovi was saying.
Yeah.
This movie was very poorly directed, written, and edited, which is something I haven't talked about in a while. And just to sum it up, so we get the first 8 minutes of this movie are online. If you don't know, you can go watch that to get an idea. Like, that's one of the more subtle action scenes, but it was still pretty cool the way it started. And then after that, we're treated to basically Kraven's origin story, which is a flashback to, I think, 15 or 16 years earlier.
16 years ago, and I still don't know how he got to become who
So
he is.
here's the thing. That is probably the weakest part of the movie, and it has every single issue this movie has.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what like Jovi was trying to say. There are just logical things that it's like, I can't turn my brain off to this, even if it's a movie. Like, we're in a car right now. If someone opens the back door of the car, we're not going, like, me and him are both going to look and see, like, what is happening.
Right.
Like, so in this movie, if a child just all of a sudden disappears from the back seat of your car, you're not going to be very calm about it and just look around and be like, huh? And again, that goes to, like, not even writing. That's just direction. Like, extras act like you actually care. And stuff like that happens a lot, where it's like, okay, a person would not act like this. So this is the first time I'm saying it. Like, background actors and extras, like, they didn't do their job well, because I don't think they were directed well, because like that really stood out to me and him. Like, we looked at each other a lot during this movie. Like, what is this person doing?
I was like, and then we had a conversation with some fellow reviewers, and you're like, people don't talk like this.
People don't talk. Yeah, exactly. People were saying things that were weird. No. Even Calypso and Kraven at one point, they were talking on a bench, and he said something like, "Oh, sometimes you have to take justice." And he said he just had corny '90s lines. That's like Jovi would say. Yeah. Sometimes you have to take justice in your own hands. It doesn't work. You're like, bruh, you wouldn't say that. Come on, but talk like a real person.
So, I'm going to end on this. I have nothing else to say. That scene and this whole idea of, motivation. She wasn't. You cannot convince someone that's in her stature and her position to just all of a sudden do illegal shit.
Oh,
sorry guys,
I agree. And that's going back to the flashback. So it's not a secret. Kraven gets his powers from a serum.
Yeah.
They show that happen in this movie, and it's unearned. That's the word I think we're looking for. A lot of stuff in this movie is unearned. It's like, okay, something's mentioned, and then immediately it happens. Like, hey, I need your help. This person's bad. Oh, that person's bad? All right, bet. I'm going to absolutely do exactly what you say.
Right.
that wouldn't happen.
No. Like,
there's a phone call. Hey, yo, something bad is happening. Someone's going to be in your building. Someone's going to be, oh my gosh, you know what? There are 6 people right there.
I could see them.
Right? It's like, wait a minute.
And he's on a total different part of the world.
Right. And then, you know, there are just certain things. It's like, nobody knows my name. Everyone who knows my name is dead. Oh, but these people know your name. I have a list, and people on this list don't, you know, people on my list, once your name is on it, it's not off. Oh, he has a list, and people you're just like, wait, how do you know this?
Who the hell, how do they know that he has a list?
Like, it's just jumps that are taken to get you through the story, and they're unearned jumps.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit less than Zack Snyder, but kind of in that vein, where it seems like you're storyboarding to a certain point.
I just was done.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem. So I think the direction, writing, and stuff. But outside of that, I actually enjoyed this movie more than any Sony movie in a long time.
Yes.
Mainly because the R rating gave us the kills. I really liked Aaron Tyler Johnson. I loved him as Kraven. Yeah. I thought he was really good. He physically he transformed himself.
It sucks that he's not. Nothing's gonna come from this.
Maybe he'll get maybe he'll go to the MCU. Who knows?
That would
MCU.
Be if they can do that for him, that would be awesome. But it's what I said this is a waste.
Yeah. Russell Crowe as his father was all right too. He was funny. He was all right. He was, and the thing that gets me, he actually did a Russian accent like they're supposed to.
But no one else.
No one else. Family has a Russian accent. Like, what is going on
and
here?
And they tried to make it make sense. We could say that they went to school in New York.
Yeah, but we know Kraven has a Russian accent.
Yes.
He just does it. Like, they just talk like Americans. I think that, let me think, like you said, the bad guys, Rhino and the bad guy, the Foreigner.
Yeah, the Foreigner. Yep.
They were actually really well done too.
I
really enjoyed them. They were good bad
villains.
Guys. So yeah, so I mean, like, the main actors outside of his brother, who I think Dimitri, his brother, who, if you're in the comics, you know who that is. Yeah. But I think that they kind of forced him in a little bit. But outside of that, all the main actors and Calypso, played by.
It does seem like Dimitri was added after the film was finished. A lot of his scenes didn't feel like the conversation. You know, they were very separated from everything else. They weren't necessarily set pieces.
Yeah.
So that I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, it's what you think. But here's the thing. I actually don't hate. Like, I hated Venom, and I hated Let There Be Carnage, and I really hated what was the third one? The Last Dance.
The Last Dance.
I hated Morbius. I hated Madam Web. But this one I didn't hate. I actually enjoyed what was going on in it.
Yeah.
Like, there's a good movie somewhere in here. Yeah. It was not put to the forefront.
It's there. It's just I don't know where it is, but it's there.
It's in there somewhere. Like, when you watch it, she'll be like, man, I wish, he would have done this instead. Or I wish they wouldn't have said this. And yeah, there's again unearned things. I'm just thinking about what Calypso was doing in the final act. I'm like, what is happening here?
Is there secrets about me that you don't know? It's like, I don't think there are, because that's his job.
Right.
It's his job to know.
Like, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah. There are a lot of things that don't make sense for the sake of getting you to the next action scene. Is the best way to put it. Right. But what would you rate this?
Man, I'm gonna give it a 3.
I'm also going to give this a 3, which is a lot more than I thought I would. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. We were definitely convinced that we were gonna go in here
and completely just trash it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think there's enjoyable pieces. There are, like, this movie. I wouldn't pay to see this again.
No.
If it came on streaming, I could fast forward to some parts, like he said, some certain kills, and be like, and bring a friend over and be like, you need to watch this. Yeah. Like, that's the type of movie this is. So, I guess, good job, Sony, because it wasn't a dumpster fire.
but it's not the cure to their...
Yeah, it's not at all. It's still, Spider-Verse still stands in a realm of its own, so...
What's next?
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kraven the Hunter, let us know when you see it. Let's talk about it right down there. Alright, guys, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you for sticking with us, and until next time, we out.
Deuces.